Hey there, squad mates. The end draws near.
Task Force X is an off-the-books government strike team made up of convicts with no hope for release, serving as expendable agents for impossible missions.
And I am Aaron Moss, aka Brotherhead, your host on Task Force X. And I'm here to chronicle the tales of the Suicide Squad.
I'm Amanda Waller. I'm here to indoctrinate you convicts into our special forces. Nobody screws the wall!
Let's go ahead and get started. Hey, squad mates. Welcome to Task Force X, episode 70. Before I get started with today's show, I did want to announce that John Ostrander, the writer of Suicide Squad, announced on his Facebook page, I saw this today, this is actually the day before Mother's Day, May 10th, he posted that they are doing a Suicide Squad omnibus. Apparently he's got a copy of it already. He says it's going to run about $150. I guess there's 3 volumes altogether. And it's reprinting everything. Suicide Squad going from Legends, all the various crossovers they appeared in during his time. So it's a lot of interviews and various things in it. So just to give you guys a heads up, I posted a link, or not a link, but I sent his picture and what he said, and I put it on my Head Speaks Facebook group tonight. So check it out. I'm definitely interested myself. Didn't give a date of when it's supposed to be out, but something to watch for. But let's go and get started with today's show. Today we're looking at issues 61 and 62 of the Ledgermain, parts 3 and 4. So let's get started with the first part. As usual, we'll look at the credits on it. Both credits for both books are the same, so we'll go over both of them right now. Again, this is issue 61 of Suicide Squad. The cover date was January of 1992. The on-sale date was December 3rd, 1991. The cover price was $1.25. The title of this book was called Snafu. Written as normal by John Ostrander and Kim Yale. Penciler Jeff Isherwood. Inker Robert Campanella. Letterer Todd Klein. The colorist was Tom J. McCraw. The pencil was done by Jeff Isherwood and Carl Kiesel. The editor of this was Dan Raspler. And this was reprinted in Suicide Squad, The Final Mission, trade paperback, which came out in 2019. And we'll hit the next issue when I get to that one. So let's look at the cover of this one. So again, we got President Marlowe front and center. Behind him, we have Superman, Batman, Aquaman, Bronze Tiger, Eve, and Amanda Waller. All yelling at him, it looks like, demanding answers. And it says they've all got questions. Marlowe's got the answers. A great cover. Spoilers, I guess. The next issue is a better cover, in my opinion, but we'll get to that one here in a little bit. But no, this is a great cover. Would I want a poster of this? Maybe. Might say if I was to rate it on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being a bad cover, 3 being average, and 5 being something I want blown up as a poster on my wall, I'd probably give this a 4, maybe 4.5. We got a classic Superman with his, blue, red, and yellow like it should be. We got Batman. We can barely make out Batman behind him, but we can see it's the standard, gray and blue Batman of the time. Great Aquaman next to him. Bronze Tiger, Nightshade, and Waller. They're all, got these pissed off look. Like you can tell that they're yelling at Marlowe. Marlowe's just got this smug look on his face. I just love that look on his face that, yes, I know what you want to know, and well, I may or may not tell you. Great cover. But let's go and get started. And I like the cover. Like I said, we have Marlowe front and center on the cover with our heroes in quotes, behind him. Because we got Amanda Waller, who's maybe not necessarily a hero per se, but... and then we open the first page, and the first page is a close-up of President Marlowe. And he's sweating bullets, looks like, and he's all, "Yes, you are my friend. I will tell you about the Cabal. A representative comes to me several years ago. They know of Karak's experiments," and he's going on about how this contact came to him. And I do like here on the bottom of the page, it does give credit. It says Batman created by Bob Kane and Superman created by Siegel and Schuster. Again, this is before Bill Finger really started getting the credit he deserves for his work on Batman, but I think it made it a little bit better if they would have said Bob Kane and Bill Finger, but this was when Bob Kane was getting all the quotes and credits for creating Batman. But I love this close-up we have of Marlowe's face as he's sweating. And we're not quite sure why he's sweating at this point, I guess he seems like he's talking, as he says in quotes, to a friend. But the look on his face is anything but that of a friend. And we go to the next page and we see he's strapped to a chair with Cliff Carmichael, a.k.a. the Thinker. And so, again, Thinker's using his powers to mind control, manipulate, however you want to phrase it, Marlowe, and making, Marlowe think he's his friend, and he's sharing all his secrets. And he's trying to find who this cabal is. And he's like, the cabal is part of American government, military, industrial, CIA, FBI. So how about the president or the Congress? Them too? Come on, you can tell me. Who's your buddy, huh? Who's your pal? It's me, right? Sure it is. And I just love the way Carmichael, who's your buddy? So it's not kind of the way I talk to my dog. I just love the way he's doing that. And that smirk on Cliff's face. And yes, you are my buddy. And Cliff's asking, why is the cabal so obsessed with metahumans? And here on the bottom of page 2, we get a shadowed version of Marlowe as he's kind of looking at us, side of his eye. And he's saying, it is her fault. And of course, he's talking about Amanda Waller. Next page, we cut over, and Amanda Waller's got her gun kind of pointed at him, but she's got it moved away right now. She's like, my fault? Amanda's like, how can it be my fault? And basically he says, and he goes and explains how, the Qual, looks at what she's doing with the Suicide Squad and how she has the right idea. But again, these are extreme groups, and they don't think Amanda's taking it far enough. They want to put all metahumans on like a registry, kind of like Marvel did right before. Yeah, they did that a couple years before this when they had the mutant registry or the superhuman registry, which I think was the mutant registry at the time. And then later on they would do the superhuman registry back when they screwed up my buddy Speedball, but that's another story entirely. But yeah, so they kind of want to control all the metahumans and use them kind of like Amanda does with the Suicide Squad. So it says, you, Amanda Waller, have the right idea, but you only use criminals, metahumans. The Superman, the Batman, how effective would they be if controlled, compelled to work for your national interests, if your government knew who they were? And again, and Amanda's kind of thinking back, she's like, well, that's why, because apparently, again, as I talked about over my Head Speaks podcast, it's been a while back now, during the Power of the Atom, the CIA went after Ray Palmer and was trying to, in quotes, recruit him. And she's like, well, if they just wanted a miniature agent, they could have stole the size-changing belt that he left with his ex-wife, a.k.a. Jean. But they want more than just the ability to shrink people down. They wanted Ray to give him all the information he had on his friends in the Justice League. Batman, Superman, Aquaman, all of them. And like she says here, even if he didn't know all their real identities, he knew enough. So yeah, like Amanda's putting this together that, the CIA isn't the nicest bunch. I said, again, and I love the tie-in, callback to the Power of the Atom series. Again, that's where we had Ray Palmer at when he came back after his little village with Lyoth and all the other Morandians was killed off, and the CIA kept hunting him down. He found out the CIA was behind that, trying to bring him back to civilization. And again, they were doing more than just trying to recruit him to be a spy like they said they were. They were actually trying to get him on board so they could pump him for information, so they could find out who Batman, Superman, and all these other heroes are, so they can use them kind of like Amanda Waller was doing with the villains in the Suicide Squad. So, and I like how, they're basically saying even in the DC universe, the government is corrupt and they're not doing things the way they should. Because a lot of Superman, he works with the president. He does, as long as it's not a bad thing, he does what the president requests most of the time. President gives him call-ups, hey, I need you to do this. And, as long as it's not a bad thing, he'll go and do it. Because, again, he likes having that nice working relationship with the president. And a lot of other heroes would feel the same way. Batman wouldn't, because that's Batman. But, but yeah, they don't want someone to be able, they don't want to have to ask. They want to say, hey, Batman, I want you to do this. And he'll do this because of X, Y, and Z. So, and so again, as they're talking, Amanda's trying to find out who his contact person is. And again, he's saying that, that they don't trust him. They don't trust him and he doesn't trust them. So he applies his contact person with money, with women, makes friends with them. That way he tells them things which he can use to hold over the guy's head, like an insurance policy. And so Amanda what's this person's name? And like this, Marlowe's kind of snapping out of what Carmichael's doing. He's like, You can take yourself to whatever the hell you spawned from, you fat. He's like, oh, well, now be nice, Marlo. Remember your manners and answer the fat lady. Be nice and polite and tell her who the contact is. It's like they're both kind of, he's like, you fat. And he's like, oh, no, you're going to tell the fat lady what she wants to know. And I like Amanda Waller's got the guns. Right now, she's got it pointed at Carmichael. Because, again, even though he's, in quotes, on her side, he's not really on her side. He's being forced to make Marlo tell him things. So I like the dynamic here that, you would think she's only gone on Marlo, but she's actually got it trained on Carmichael. Because, again, without the safety switches, if you will, turned on, he could control Waller. He could control anyone he wants. So if he tries, she plans on blowing him away. And so again, Marlo's sweating like a pig. He says his name is McClellan, Major George A. McClellan, Air Force. And Carmichael, thank you, ex-presidente. Now, for your next trick, why don't you swallow your tongue and choke to death on it? And so Marlo, again, here on the top of page, where is this? Page 5. Yeah, a nice scene of Marlo choking as he's gagging on his own tongue. Because, again, he'll do anything Cliff tells him to. And she's like, stop it, Carmichael. And I mean now. No, I've been a good boy. I've done what you wanted. Now I get to have some fun. And so she shoots it right. It looks like it creases his forehead, or I'm not quite sure where. She shoots right in front of him, and he tips over in his chair. I don't think it actually hits. He's just like, hey. But it's close enough that he tips over to his side. And she's like, don't test me, Carmichael. I'm not that good of a shot. And then she's like, Oracle, over here, put the dampers back on the thinker. He's getting frisky. And so she does. So she lets him know that Batman was there looking for him, that Batman knows that she has information on Ray Palmer's death. And he's like, she's like, he has information tying you to Ray Palmer's death. And he's looking for you very, very hard. And he's a man who tends to find what he's looking for. And I like this as Oracle puts the dampeners back on Cliff, this angry look on his face as he realizes his powers have been turned off once again. And then we have her asking, actually I guess this is Amanda Waller saying that Batman's a man who tends to find what he's looking for. And she wants Oracle to patch her into Nightshade. And that's a nice segue to showing Nightshade in her shadow form climbing up a wall going through a window, where we have Tom Tresser, a.k.a. Nemesis, with Batman, Superman, Aquaman, and all these other soldiers and politicians in this room. And they're kind of recapping what's going on. There's more one group involved. Some's trying to kill Marlo. Some's trying to protect him or liberate him, if you will. And again, he says, apparently whatever Steele's up to, killing Marlo is not part of it. Otherwise, Marlo would have been dead. And again, I love that, again, as I've talked about, Suicide Squad has a darker, grittier, more, in quotes, realistic look to it. Because, again, it is a darker part of the DCU. We've got villains, and their name is Suicide Squad, so sometimes they die on these missions. So it's a darker look at the DCU. So I do like the darker look in this book, where I don't normally like that. But I do like that when we have, Batman, Superman, Aquaman showing up, they're in there. Well, Superman and Aquaman's in their bright colors. Batman's got his, his gray suit with the bluish black hood and cape, and he's got the yellow symbol still on his bat. I love this version of Batman. This classic version for all three of these, at least classic for me. Superman, Batman, Aquaman, just great look. The only problem, again, I think it may just be, I'm looking at a scanned copy. Batman looks a little pale here, but in that, everything looks fantastic on it. But as I was saying, Nemesis is standing in the room with him, and I like Nightshade kind of crawls up his back in shadow form. And like here on the top of page 6, she's still in shadow form on the back of Tom's head talking to him. She's like, Tom, don't turn around. It's me. And so she's basically wanting to find out what's going on. She wants to know, what happened. So again, Tom kind of recaps the last couple of issues for us. The Taiwath and the Jihad both came from Marlo. The three big names are waiting for them. He's like, somebody's stacking the deck. Bet it's your cabal. And we find out here that apparently after the Power of the Atom series that I covered over Head Speaks, apparently after that, Ray wrote another book. I know he was talking about it at the last part that he was going to do another book, a sequel to the book he wrote previously. But he talks about how in his last book, a band of renegade CIA agents tried to recruit him in the agency, and they destroyed the race of miniature aliens that he was living with in Amazon. So we get kind of a recap of what that next book we talked about had in it. And apparently in the book he put in there the whole story that, in revenge, he shrunk the 5 of them down, and apparently they're still working for the government. And then all of a sudden, Nightshade, she makes herself known, and she starts setting out her hair and her shadows and darkens the room. And she, again, like this is, she does this. It's like, well, that's a new one on me. I thought I had her. She was gone. And Batman's like, her name's Nightshade. She can create a dimensional tunnel through which to travel. Although her other powers are new to me. She's worked with War in the past. Evidently, she is again. And then Batman turns on Tom. He's like, evidently, so are you, Nemesis. I want some answers. And I just love this scene here at the bottom of page 7 where Batman, he's got his finger pointed right in Nemesis' face, holding his shirt. He's like, evidently, so are you. I want some answers. And just a smug look on Nemesis' face says, he's not going to give Batman anything. And so again, here on page 8, Nightshade reports into Waller. A great image of Nightshade sitting on her rock with one of the portals open behind her. Right, maybe the portal's closing. And apparently she relates everything that's going on. And again, instead of wasting time recapping what we just got recapped, we skip ahead where she's telling her to rendezvous with the group. Don't worry about Chusser. These are the good guys. They're going to hurt him, and we'll patch it all up later. And then Still comes in the room. Nice to see this is slowly turning into a normal squad-type mission, all fouled up. If you're going to get nervous, Still, maybe you should have kept things a little clambic in-house instead of hiring us. If I would have, I could have. If I could have, I would have. That's what I got reversed there. And again, he didn't know how far up it went, so that's why he had to outsource his assistance to Amanda Waller and the Suicide Squad. And then we cut to General Wade Elling. Again, he's from over in the Captain Atom books. And apparently he's talking to the director, and he's talking about how, we can go ahead and go forth our other part of the plan. That, whatever Waller's got going on, even if it's a trap, it shouldn't affect them because they've worked too hard on this. And here, as we cut away, we get him saying, if all goes according to plan, in a few minutes, the Atom will be ours. And then we get try that again. We get Boomerang and the Atom seeing up this building, and Boomerang's all, if you clear on the drill, let's have a deco, eh? A what? A look. Bloody hell. And so Atom shrinks down and jumps in the window. I like this. He's shrinking down, jumping in the window. He's like, why don't you just speak American? And again, I love here on the bottom of page 9 when the Atom jumps into the window. We see him, he leap down. Then we see him in the serpent, wherever he is, growing larger till he's full size. Again, I wish he had a regular superhero costume, just the camo and black, but he's not your average superhero. Again, as we determined, this isn't Ray Palmer. This in disguise. This is Senator Cray's son that Deadshot killed way back in the day. So he's not a superhero. He's working with Waller, working at the Suicide Squad. So while I would prefer a more traditional costume, this black and camo works for what Cray's got going on here. And as the Atom opens the door, Boomerang, again being Boomerang, throws his boomerang at him, knocking him down, knocking him out actually. And he goes over and activates the size control belt, which causes Atom to shrink down. And at this time, the members of the Cabal, not the Cabal, but the ones he shrunk down, the CIA agents that he shrunk down, the Ray Palmer shrunk down, they come walking out. And apparently Boomerang is working with them. Apparently they're going to give him $500,000 into a private Swiss account as Blacksnake and Sting take away Cray's body. And as soon as they're out of the picture, Boomerang starts walking off. Dudes show up with guns, and he's like, oi, bloody hell, as they start shooting at him, and he leaps for cover. Bloody two-timing, double-crossing buggers. As he throws his boomerangs, knocking these 4 guys that are attacking him out. And after he takes these guys, he's like, oh, I kept them boomerang to the wall. The buggers just tried to kill me. Like, did they succeed? Oh, ho, 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 well, bust my guts. Well, if you aren't dead, then you're okay. They take the Atom? Yeah. Everything goes according to plan. Get to the rendezvous point, Nice, will pick you up. So apparently, Boomerang, while he took out the Atom, he was actually part of the plan that Waller's got going on. And I like this. Is Waller tells him to meet up with Nightshade to go to the rendezvous. He's saying to himself, "Oh, I wonder if this means they've stiffed me on the $500,000." And again, as he's talking to Waller, he just kicks one of these guys he just knocked out. Because again, Captain Boomerang's not a nice guy, so I do love the fact that he kicks a man when he's down. That's very much true to Captain Boomerang. And then we cut to Waller, speaking of Waller, and still talking about they found out where McKellen is stationed at, and apparently he's at Blood Island. And again, as he's talking about McKellen being on Blood Island, Still is telling her that she needs to send her people, and we cut over to McKellen talking to one of the soldiers, and in the cages they've got the members of the Jihad. Again, there's so many groups, I forget which one's which. But the group that was captured that was trying to rescue Marlowe, which I want to say was the Jihad. He's like, are these the prisoners that tried to rescue Marlowe? They are, Major McCullen. That's just who I want then. As he pulls his gun out and shoots the soldier as he frees Agni. And he tells him to free the other ones. And he lets them know that they need to do a surprise attack on the hangar where they're holding the real Marlowe. He's telling them that the switch is a surprise to him, the Lightning Squad, and we should all get clear with your president yet. And while Agni is freeing his compatriots and getting ready to go free Marlowe, McKellen's going to take off in the boat that they had waiting for Marlowe. And again, I'm so sorry to abuse your trust like this, dear friends, but I have no intention of exchanging my dog tags for a toe tag in the next half hour. Better you than me. So again, when you start dealing with people of low moral standards, you can't be surprised when they stab you in the back or they leave you hanging out to dry. So we have, again, our team, Vertigo and Boomerang, Bronze Tiger, Nightshade getting ready to go in to get Marlowe. And as they're getting ready to go in, again, McCullens is making his escape, but he runs some guards, or some soldiers, that tells him that apparently it's highly probable he's been compromised. General Elling has directed they terminate him. So again, they open up fire on McKellen. Again, just an all-out firefight. And then we cut back over to our heroes, Batman, Superman, Aquaman, with Tresser and these other guys. And Batman's like, forget Tresser for the moment. Either he really doesn't know more than he says, or he won't say. So again, as I said, yeah, Nemesis isn't giving up the team he's working with, because that's who he is. And as they're talking, all of a sudden they start hearing gunshots, brap, brap, brap. And so everyone starts converging on the same scene. Our heroes, the squad, the villains that were just freed. And as they go rushing into battle, Superman lands, is this? Batman's like, yes, this is the Suicide Squad. And Superman being Superman's like, I don't think so. Those are American soldiers you're attacking, and I'm not about to let you do that. If you want to talk, surrender. We'll talk. But this fight is over. And and Bronze Tiger's all, fine, you want to tell them that? And again, I just love the way that the shadows on Nightshade's around her hair and stuff form like serpents and just other creatures as these, or shadow beasts, whatever you want to call them, whenever she's not really concentrating on it. And then here on page 18 and 19, we get a splash page of all these people fighting. We get Vertigo using his powers on Superman and Aquaman. We get Batman and Bronze Tiger facing off. And again, Bronze Tiger, if I'm not mistaken, he first showed up in Batman books back in the day. So again, this isn't their first fight, and that's what Batman says here. We fought before. And Bronze Tiger's all, and I kicked your butt. You want to get out of my way? And Batman's like, no. So again, kind of a rematch for these guys. We get Floyd, again, who's not Deadshade, who's not Deadshot anymore, just Floyd shooting at somebody off panel. And again, we get all these little battle scenes going on this page. This is a fantastic splash page just showing this battle going on. As we cut to elsewhere, we have Ginsburg, who, again, fans of the Power of the Atom series, you would remember him from there. He was the CIA agent that was trying to recruit Ray Palmer. He's beaten on Adam Cray. And actually, I guess it's not Ginsburg, it's Black Snake that was beating on Cray, thinking that he's Ray Palmer still. That's enough. We want Mr. Palmer alive. The Cabal wants to know everything he knows about the other metahumans. And you're going to tell us, Palmer. Make up your mind about that. Keep telling you, I'm not Palmer. Really, Palmer, it does no good to deny it. The body buried in your coffin belongs to our counterpart, Ginsburg. He was the one who really died in that raid on your place. You enlarged the body and buried it. Perhaps you really believe you are Adam Cray. Part of deep conditioning. We'll find out. It'll all come out in the wash. The brainwash, that is. And I expect him to go, ha 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 here at this point. And again, I love what John does in this book. I think John's a great writer. Between him and Kim, I'm not sure which did which part, but they're a fantastic duo in this book. That line is a little corny. And again, I normally like corn, but yeah, that line is a little corny, even for my taste. It'll all come out in the wash. The brainwash, that is. I don't expect that out of the Suicide Squad book, but then after he makes that line, Adam's like, I like my mind a little dirty, thanks. And again, I guess following that corny line, that could be a corny line, but I actually like Cray's response. I like my mind a little dirty, thanks. As he starts fighting back, knocking these guys down. And again, Adam takes off, and Mr. Bailey sends the Black Snake and everybody after him, try to capture him. And as he's running away, what's her name? Miss Hubbard. Miss Hubbard's like, he won't go far, Mr. Bailey. Not as long as we have the size-changing belt. So again, right now, he's stuck at 6 inches high until he gets the belt. But again, Bailey's like, he doesn't have to go far, Miss Hubbard. If he can link us to the Cabal, and if he escapes with that knowledge, that makes us a threat. And you know how the Cabal deals with threats or failures. And so as the team takes off after Cray tried to capture him, he comes up behind Hubbard and grabs her and takes the belt from her. He's like, maybe you should start thinking about the government's witness protection plan, Hubbard. Excuse me, I believe that's mine. And he takes his belt back, and as he goes to put it back on, he's kind of telling he's like, you didn't think I'd double back, did you, Hubbard? In the background, we see a shadowed figure. It looks like a sword almost come walking up, and all of a sudden Black Snake comes running up behind him and just stabs in the back with a nail. So Cray's all, didn't think I'd double back, did you, Hubbard? And Black Snake's like, I did, as he just impales him with a nail that goes all the way through him. And again, just here on the top of page 22, this last page, just the nail going into Ray, and not Ray, I got me doing it now, going into Adam, and we don't see it coming out, but we see his shirt being stretched out where the nail is about ready to rip through his shirt. He's dropping the size-changing belt as he gets stabbed. So there's no blood on this panel. I mean, they're still keeping it, in quotes, comic code approved, but I do love this scene of Cray being stabbed through the back. And there's a little bit of blood on this last page here, or this last panel here, as Bailey comes around. Black Snake, you fool. You did. I sure did. I done what I swore to do. What I waited too long to do. I just killed me Ray Palmer. And we get, Adam laying here on the ground, blood around him. His eyes open, he's dead, apparently. And it says, next, the conclusion, number the dead. So I do like how Amanda was warning still that, someone is going to die the way things are going. And, well, someone did die. But another fantastic issue. And as you look through the letter column, there's a letter from a Melissa Page in Nortonville, Kentucky, praising John and Kim, saying that they must be the king and queen of choreographing action. If it wasn't a physical bang, then it was an emotional one, such as the leaving of Vixen. And the editor, I believe it's Dan Raspel, the editor writing the letters page, he says, and don't forget how much the actual choreographic is laid out by the penciler. John Kim may say something like, full page shot of the whole squad attacking, and Jeff runs with it from there. I think you did a terrific job, don't you? So now I like when they give us little glimpses of how the comics put together. And this one thing, we talked about this on the last episode of my G.I. Joe Royal American Headcast show, where we talked about the ads and the letters pages from these 80s and 90s books, and how when they did away with the letters pages to make more room for ads or whatever, a lot of us, like myself, missed the letters pages. Because again, I enjoyed reading, every month after I got to reading the book, I'd read the letters page to get a glimpse of what people thought about the comic and what was going on. And again, you'd get some answers sometimes from either the writer, editor, whoever was doing the letter column that month. Back before we had social media, we didn't have Facebook where we go online and complain about it. The only way to find out what other people thought is if either if you had friends that were into comics that you talked with, or the letters pages. So, and this is a way to get thoughts, because again, I was in California, and I got this Melissa Page in Nortonville, Kentucky, talk about what she likes. There's people from New York, Pennsylvania. So you get people all over the country writing in, and it's just fantastic. And then we get the next issue box, which tells what's going on in the next issue. And it tells, all out action, mayhem, squad style is everybody. The squad, Jihad, Iotha, the Cabal, and the Big Three fights everybody else. And the solution to the question you've been asking since Ray Palmer was killed back in number 44. The mystery of the atom solved. Next issue. And again, they give us a black and white drawing of next issue's cover, which kind of spoils things. We get Ray Palmer socking Blacksnake, which we'll talk about here in just a few minutes. But that's it for issue 61 of the Suicide Squad. I've been going for about half an hour. I think I'll take a quick break, play some promos for some shows from friends of mine, and then we'll be right back with the second issue.
I don't know, but I have heard we'll be back after this word.
Back in 1940, 8 sensational heroes united to create the world's very first superhero team, the Justice Society of America. Now, 85 years later, we're gathering podcasters and bloggers from around the globe for a month-long celebration in an event we're calling JS April. Throughout April 2025, join dozens and dozens of podcasters and bloggers as they each share their own unique tributes to the original and greatest superhero team. Get ready for an all-star month of beloved characters, fascinating insights, and incredible stories. Follow the action on social media with the hashtag JSApril, and visit our website for a complete list of participating podcasters, bloggers, and what they're each covering at fireandwaterpodcast.com/JSApril. A long time ago, in a comic book rack far, far away. During the years between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, Marvel Comics kept the Star Wars magic alive, delivering bold new stories, expanding the mythology, and taking our favorite heroes and villains on unforgettable adventures. Now join me, the irredeemable Shag, and an ever-changing roster of guest hosts as we journey back to this incredible era. We begin with a comic adaptation of The Empire Strikes Back, and continue through the thrilling tales leading up to Return of the Jedi. If you're a seasoned Star Wars veteran who knows your share of brie from your hoojibs, or a brave explorer venturing into these comics for the first time, this is your hyperspace lane to classic Star Wars adventure. Join us for Marvel Star Wars, From Empire to Jedi, every other month on the Fire and Water Podcast Network. Beginning in June 2025.
Beginning at the ripe old age of 4 years old, seeing Star Wars for the first time, I became obsessed with the movies. What they were, what they did, what they meant. I turned that obsession into a career, climbing the filmmaking and storytelling ranks as a screenwriter, author, and television maker. Now, I'm taking you on a journey through the cinema that defined my generation, Generation X, in the Celluloid Heroes podcast, examining the landmark films of the era from the well-known to the obscure to the unexpected, charting a history of cinema growth over the past 50 years, and looking forward to where it's going next. Celluloid Heroes is part memoir, part film analysis, and part exploration of the last 50 years of cinema through a Gen X lens. From the suburban adventures of Star Wars and E.T. the Extraterrestrial, to the Reagan-era cinema of The Right Stuff and Red Dawn, the sunny nostalgia that isn't of Back to the Future and Stand By Me, the year Generation X broke big with Reservoir Dogs and Dazed and Confused, the cautionary Los Angeles-centered tales of L.A. Confidential and The Limey, the last great golden age of blockbuster filmmaking with The Fellowship of the Ring and Pirates of the Caribbean, and concluding with the mournful ruminations of Inside Llewyn Davis and The Irishman. Celluloid Heroes will take a deep look at the themes, makers, and cultural context of this diverse array of films, and try to determine just what makes them so special to filmgoers, filmmakers, and to this fan in particular, as I chart a life through the movies that inspired me. It's also something of an autobiography of this young film fan who became a filmmaker himself. charting the good, the bad, and the ugly of a life in the creative arts with all of its triumphant moments and bitter defeats along the way. My name is Brad Abraham, and I welcome you to the Celluloid Heroes podcast, a proud member of the Long Box Crusade podcast network. Catch us monthly, and I'll see you there.
Heidi, 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 ho! Break is over, here's the show.
And welcome back. I don't usually talk about the promos I play, but I am today. So I played 3 promos. One for the JSA April, even though April is over with by now. I do want to promote the JS April. It's all finished with, and I didn't participate this year because, again, I'm not a huge JSA fan, so I didn't really have anything to participate with. But a lot of my friends are on there, so definitely check out JS April. Run across all the different podcasts for the month of April. I also played a new promo from a friend of the show, The Irredeemable Shag, Empire to Jedi, where he looks at the comic book series that took place from The Empire Strikes Back all the way through The Return of the Jedi. And the other one I played was Celluloid Heroes from one of my, again, he's over my G.I. Joe Royal American Headcast podcast, Brad Abraham. Again, he's been podcasting with me for a while over there, and I finally got him in all the podcasting he did with me, and then, occasionally do with some of the other guys. He finally got into it and is doing his own show, so check out those shows. All great shows, great people, but enough about them. We're here to talk about the Suicide Squad. We're here to look at issue 62. So the credits are the same as the last issue. The only difference is, again, this is issue 62 of Suicide Squad. The cover date on this was February of 1992. The on-sale date was January the 7th, 1992. And the title of this one was called Number of the Dead. Otherwise, everything else is the same as the last issue. And now, as usual, we look at the cover. I'm going to say straight off the bat, this is probably one of my favorite covers of the entire series. As I talked about just a few minutes ago, the cover, we have the Atom, a.k.a. Ray Palmer, punching out Black Snake. We get, I'm assuming he's shrunk down at this point because, again, we have molecules or atoms or whatever behind him floating around. We have a DNA helix floating behind him. Down the bottom of the screen it says, or bottom of the cover, it says Atom Smashing. And again, just Ray Palmer's pissed off, and he's got a hold of Black Snake's whip, just punching him out. This is a great cover. Again, as I talked about, like in my G.I. Joe show, I rate them 1 to 5. This, I would rate a 5. I would love to have this as a poster to hang on my wall. Again, we get the Suicide Squad logo at the top. It's just a fantastic cover. Just I love the colors on it. I mean, the background is, besides the different, DNA and the atoms or molecules, whatever these are, it's a white cover. But I think it works in this case because, again, we got the Atom in his blue and red costume on the front center. And since they're shrunk down to the microscopic level, it would be not as colorful, you would imagine. But yeah, great cover. I love this one. Moving on to the story, again, we end up where we started off where we ended up last issue. Bailey's all, Black Snake, you fool, you didn't. And Black Snake, again, as he said last issue, I sure did. I done what I swore to do, what I waited to do, long to do. I just killed me Ray Palmer. And again, we get basically the same scene from a little different angle that we ended up last issue, except for this time it's a full page, splash page. We get, like I say, Hubbard and Bailey and Black Snake standing over Adam's body. Again, there's a lot of blood on the ground. There's the nail sticking halfway, in his back, poking out his front, pulling on his shirt, about ready to rip his shirt. Just a great image of Adam Gray dying here, of the newest Adam. Just love this page. The next page, Black Snake puts on Adam's belt, and as Bailey is, berating him, you fool, you couldn't take him alive. You know how the part reports failure? And they'll say this is a total failure. They'll have your hide. And Black Snake grows back to full size finally after I don't know how long being stuck at 6 inches. He's like, only if you tell him about it, Mr. Bailey. At last, I'm my rightful size again. All them months of scurrying around like a flea are done. And then he picks up Bailey and Hubbard. And again, as he says, you can't have any witnesses to report back to the Cabal what happened. So he just crushes them both. And here on top of page 3, a fantastic shot of us looking up at Black Snake as he crushes Hubbard and Bailey. And we hear, and just, we see like a pinkish outline, if you will. Don't know how to describe it, but around both Bailey and Hubbard as Black Snake just breaks him and kills him. And about this time, Sting shows back up, Sorry, Mr. Bailey, I haven't been able to locate... Oh, no. What happened here? And he sees Adam Cray dead and Black Snake's full size. And so the Sting's like, what happened here? And Black Snake's like, I killed Palmer, sweet, just like I said I'd do. And as he goes to step on Sting, Sting's like, Palmer isn't dead, old buddy. And Black Snake, what the heck? So he shrinks. What? I love this as he's shrinking down here on page 4. Like, what? Yeah, you're picking mine. That man is as dead as a doornail in him. Yeah, he is. But he really wasn't Palmer, old buddy. And I like how he's saying old buddy. It's in quotes all the time. Like, old buddy. He's like, he's not really Palmer. I am. And it's just the look of surprise on Black Snake's face. Like, what the crap? And then all of a sudden, Ray, I'm not sure what he did here, if he grew or what. But next thing you know, on this bottom page 4, Ray's in his regular costume. As he's all, and this time you murder creep, I'll see you pay for what you've done. As again, and we get the cover here, basically. They're not microscopic sizes, the cover kind of leads you to believe. But he punches Black Snake, knocking his glasses off. And Black Snake's like, you know what? I'm glad. It gives me another chance to kill you. Once wasn't good enough. And Ray's like, once was too much. As Ray shrinks down. And again, here on the next couple of pages, this page and the next page, Ray and Black Snake are fighting. And he's taking out his rage on everything that's been going on Black Snake. He's like, it was people like you that killed the woman I love, her whole race, just to get to me. For her, for them, for that young man lying dead over there, the day of reckoning is here. And he grabs Black Snake and he starts shrinking him down. Forget trying to escape me like that, Black Snake. I've been pulling these switches for a long time. There's nowhere you can't go I can't follow. For all the blood on your hands, this time you're going to pay. As they keep shrinking down. I love here on top, the third panel on page 4, of them shrinking down and going like microscopic size as they're fighting on the microscopic level. And again, I love, this is Ray Palmer. Again, I know that they've done that in the Ant-Man movie, but I think Ray was doing this before Ant-Man was. Because again, normally in the comics, Ant-Man would shrink down to ant size, where Ray would shrink down to subatomic size all the time, if I'm not mistaken. So, and after we've seen the Ant-Man movie, we could have a damn good Atom movie if DC pulled their head out of there. Never mind. But anyways, as Black Snake and Ray are fighting, we cut back over to Carmichael and Waller. And I like that Waller's pacing back and forth. She's like, it's gone wrong. I know it. We should have heard by now. And Still's all, when doesn't it go wrong with your squad, Waller? It's like, well, we don't get mixed up with people like you, Still. Look at you, Carmichael. Got a phone line plugged in the back of your head. Makes me sick just looking at you. How could you have done something like that to yourself? For fun. No distractions, please. And again, basically Amanda's going back and forth with Still, trying to how she let him talk her into working for him. And we get some backstory here about, again, kind of following up what they've been talking about, how the Cabal's trying to establish government control of metahumans. And again, they repeat what they were saying last month about how that's why they're after Ray, to get information he knows. And they expand upon a little bit more, saying they made illegal deals with crack, give them the information on the metagene, they'll let them create the jihad. And he talks about how they had kidnapped Marlowe so they could try to find out who his contact in the Cabal was. So basically this page 7, this half of this page or so, is an info dump for what's been going on, well, for quite a while, but it kind of recaps what we talked about last issue already and what happened last issue. And then on page 8, we get back to the continuation of the fight that we saw on that double page spread last issue, with all these heroes and villains and what have you in between fighting amongst themselves as McCullen tries to get away. And like Judith here getting the Superman's head. Ooh, I know you. You're the Man of Steel. Are you not? What's it you most fear, I'm wondering? Oh, it's losing control of your power, is it? Well, you just have. As Superman just started unleashing an I-beam at the ground that just like turns into molten liquid almost. Just like, love this scene here of Superman just aiming his I-beams at the ground, just letting go with it. As Judith, I think it is, makes him, think he's losing control of his powers. Because as I said before, I probably said this last episode, but I forget now. The mind is a very terrible thing, not terrible thing, but a very dangerous weapon. Your mind can, play tricks on you. Your mind can, if it's got problems, you can get depression, suicidal, things like that. That's how placebos work a lot of times, is making your mind think that something is going to be affected a certain way. The mind can do a lot of things to you. So, yeah, if someone's able to get in and make your, imagine your worst fears, again, basically turning your mind against you, it's a scary thing. And as everyone's fighting, McCullen, whatever his name is, he takes off, trying to get to the freighter. As he talked about last issue, he just takes the freighter he's going to give to Marlowe. He said he's got his millions. He's skimmed into his secret accounts. Even the Cabal won't be able to find me. And as he's running away, Aquaman watches him. He's like, I still don't know what this has to do with the death of Ray Palmer. But on the other hand, Batman seems to be a focus of a lot of attention. Whoever you are, you're not leaving here until I get some answers. And again, we go back to Batman and Bronze Tiger fighting. And Bronze, hey, I'm not interested in beating you up again. And I love Bronze Tiger's, just his attitude, his bravado here. He's like, I'm not interested in beating you up again. I can't afford the time. Right now, someone's getting away. He's got the answer to all this. Let's deal with him, and then we'll talk. And Batman's like, sorry, not this time. Waller's implicated in Ray Palmer's death. I warned her that I'd close her down someday if I felt I had to talk. Now convince me to do otherwise. And again, so Ben's all, forget it, there's no time. And I don't feel like arguing. So they start fighting, and Batman kicks Bronze Tiger and knocks him down. He's like, you're angry, Turner. Sloppy, I expected better from you. And Ben gets just this look of utter anger in Ben's face. He's like, mister, you ain't seen mad yet. As he gets up, and the proportions look a little out of whack, but it also may just be his jacket kind of furling up as he jumps at Batman. It's a good scene, don't get me wrong. It just goes a little off. I think more than anything, it's just that the clothes are kind of bunching up on him as he leaps, which makes it look like it's an odd pose, like his arms aren't attached properly or something. And we get, I say dead shot, but Floyd, people shooting at him, he's like, you call that shooting? As he starts shooting at people that's shooting at him. And again, just Floyd doing what he does, killing everybody with his gun. And as McCullen takes off in the speedboat, Aquaman comes out and he's like, I'm still dizzy from Virgo's power. That guy's the key to this whole mystery. I can't let him escape. Quickly, those near at hand, your aid is needed. So again, this is what Aquaman does best. He communicates, he talks with the plants. He communicates with the sea life, marine life. That's what I'm looking for. So he has, it looks like some dolphins leaping over the boat, capsizing it, or at least slowing it down. We get back to Nightshade, and she's fighting, I believe that is, I forget which one that is now. All these different characters, I forget which one's which. But yeah, Nightshade's fighting. Okay, no, that's Judith. This is Judith the Sword. So that means that the girl that was fighting Batman was, I forget her name. So it wasn't Judith that was fighting Batman, getting into his mind. Not Batman, Superman. Sorry about that. That wasn't Judith. I'm getting all the things mixed up today. That wasn't Judith that was fighting Superman. This is Judith here, is the one with the sword. And I like this. Nightshade's like, I heard about you from Ben. You're Judith. Something of a ninja? A shadow warrior? Well, I am the shadows. Can you fight me? As she uses her shadow hair, whatever, to wrap around Judith. And then here on page 15? Yeah, 15, we have Ray and Black Snake fighting again on the microscopic or the microverse, whatever you want to call it. It's just labeled elsewhere. And Black Snake's fee's like, you ain't going to kill me, Palmer. I knows you superhero types. Against your codes, ain't it? And Ray's like, I have killed Black Snake when I was part of Lothuan's society, but I don't look for more people to kill. I'm tired of killing, of death. And there are other ways of dealing with you. So again, that's a lot of people, as I talked about over on Head Speaks, when I reviewed The Power of the Atom, a lot of people have gotten Ray mixed up or confused with who he used to be. They don't realize that when he took off and went to the South American village and lived there for a while with the shrunk down aliens, because I'm always messing their name up, so I'm going to try it. But yeah, they don't realize that when he lived there, he went native, as they say. He became more of a warrior, more willing to fight, not necessarily more willing to fight, but more willing to go to the extremes that was needed where he was at. And again, it looks like he's trying to bring that back to where he used to be. Not quite. I don't want to say murder hobo, but because he was never a murder hobo, but a little less willing to kill than he was over in the Power of the Atom series. He's kind of trying to find that line between warrior and superhero. But again, as Ray says here, that he doesn't have to kill Black Snake to stop him. He rips off the belts, and as Adam starts to grow bigger, he leaves Black Snake floating in the microverse or whatever. And Black Snake's like, "No, you can't strand me here, Palmer. I'll die." And Ray's like, "I'll come back for you eventually. Just don't wander. Might make it hard to find you." And we see tiny Black Snake stop as Ray grows full size. And I like this here on page 15. We see Adam Cray laying there with the nail through his back, the blood all over the floor, the screwdriver, the pencil, all the construction material laying around him. And then the next page, page 16, we have Ray standing over at Adam Cray's body, pulling the knife out. He's like, "I'm sorry, Adam. It all went wrong." And I like this. He's growing larger with Adam. As he's holding Adam's body in his arms. He's like, "You deserve a better resting place than this. Come on, kid. I'll get you back where you belong." And I love this scene here of Ray enlarging himself, holding his head down, kind of mourning the loss of Adam Cray. Again, we've had him in this for a dozen issues or so. I don't know if we really got a good handle on who he was, because again, there was all that mystery of, well, is he Ray Palmer in disguise or hiding out? Is he a different Adam? So I don't know if we've ever got a real good feeling for who Adam Cray is. Again, we know his father from back in the day, and Adam, I think if I'm not mistaken, when he confronted Deadshot or Floyd, I think he made the comment that his dad wasn't a great guy, but still his dad. So, and sadly for him, he never got, I don't want to say justice or closure for his dad being killed. Because, Adam Cray's story, if I'm not mistaken, ends here. So, but yeah, I just love this image here on page 16. That's what I was talking about. Great image. It's very sorrowful, very, oh crap. Because again, the Suicide Squad is living up to its name. And then we cut elsewhere. We have the Dolphins jumping around McCullen's boat, slowing him down. So he didn't capsize like I was thinking. It just slowed him down. Well, Aquaman leaps on. I love this pose of Aquaman on the back of the boat on top of page 17. He's crouched on the back of the boat. Turn this boat around now. Go back to the dock. I have some questions to ask you. This is not a request. And McCullen pulls out a gun, and I'm not playing games. And starts shooting Aquaman, who, again, he's a superhero. A guy with a gun's not going to do anything to him. He leaps overboard. And McCullen, he's busy watching Aquaman. He's like, I will not be, oh no. As he crashes his boat into the rocks. Here I'm on page 17. He's like, ah! As he crashes his boat into the rocks. And the boat crashes, the rock explodes. Just wham! And Aquaman's watching. He's like, I told him to turn the boat around. Why can't I get any answers to any of my questions? And then here on page 16, we have the continuer. Page 18. On page 18, we saw the fight going on between all these different parties. We have Nightshade fighting Judith. We have Ben and Batman fighting it out. All these, Count Virgo taking down somebody. Boomerang throwing his boomerang and knocking, I can't tell who the guy in the red jacket is, knocking someone down. Just fantastic overhead shot watching all these different little battles going on. Fantastic. And I can't remember the little girl's name that can control minds, but she's still controlling Superman. And he's like, get out of my mind. And she's like, you'll fall. You have to fall. And he's like, not today and not to you. As he does what I refer to as a Incredible Hulk hand clap. He just slams his hands together, knocking everybody down. And he picks up the unconscious little girl. He's like, what are you? What did they do to make you such a vicious little girl? And he turns on everyone else. It's getting up like, what the hell? Okay, I want to know where Marlowe is. I want to know where Steele and Waller is. Especially Waller. I want to know if Ray Palmer is alive or dead. And either way, I want to see him. Or I'm going to get really mad. And then we got to later where Ray is talking with his three friends. explaining that, the best way to get this microforce, which he's responsible for, off his back was to fake his death. And he says in an earlier attack, one of my own agents was killed, and that's who's in his grave. He said we knew the Cabal would probably see through the ruse, so they had Waller recruit Cray become the new Adam. A bit of a Ledgermain. Again, that's where the whole title comes from, this story arc, Ledgermain. And he says, sleight of hand, like a stage magician uses. You watch the hand that's busy while the other hand performs the trick. So I like how they explain the title for the storyline in this final issue of the story here, where it came from, why they called it. Because again, that's what this whole storyline's been about. I mean, they swapped out President Marlowe. This entire time, Ray, the Atom has been a different person, and Ray Palmer's been impersonating Sting. So again, it's just a great title for this storyline, especially now that Ray's explaining it. Because again, going through, I don't know why it's called Ledgermain. As I've said previously, I call it the mystery of the Atom. Because again, that's what I'm most concerned about is Ray Palmer, the Atom. I love him. It's a great character. But yeah, I do like how Ray's explaining what the title means without explaining what the title means. Without knowing the title, but And again, they say that, he couldn't turn up on anything on the Cabal or Microforce, so they approached Captain Boomerang. And apparently, Adam Cray suggested the plan as a trap, as Bailey would know more about the Cabal. Apparently, Ray captured and enlarged Sting, still put in protective custody, and that's where Ray took Sting's place. So the idea was that I'd protect Cray and we'd nail Bailey. I didn't do my job. It was Cray who got nailed. Black Snake killed Bailey and Hubbard. Sting doesn't really know much about the Cabal. So again, they were trying to, this whole thing was trying to find out information about the Cabal, but unfortunately Black Snake being a snake kind of ruined that, and they weren't able to get any information after all. And here on page 20, I love this look on Ray's face as he's telling about the ledger and all that. Just his face kind of in shadows a little bit. Fantastic drawing here. And Aquaman, you've asked the obvious question, why didn't you come to us? We could have helped you with this. And Ray's like, no, I don't think so. For the most part, we fight best against people who wear bright costumes and try to blatantly seize power. These guys are all shadows and smoke. Best left to people like Steele and Waller. And Batman's like, I might dispute you with that one, Palmer. But it brings up another question. Where are Steele and Waller? And Ray says that they're making a report elsewhere. And apparently they're in with the presidents, who was George Bush, I want to say. I want to say Bush was the president. The first Bush, the older Bush, was president this time. We don't see who it is. We just see a pair of hands holding a file that says eyes only, as he's got a cigarette lighter lighting the file on fire, throwing it into the trash. He's like, very interesting report here. Who else has seen it? And Still's like, no one, sir. Your eyes only. Good. Basically, good job. Still, you should have consulted this office. As the memo said, sir, we weren't sure how far up the Cabal's infiltration went. And the president's like, you suggested I was personally involved? Man, Waller's like, no, there's nothing I can prove to either court of law or the media. But I think I could convince Ray Palmer without much trouble. And he convinced a man with a big red S on his chest, another with a bat on his, and a certain Sea King too. And they in turn would convince the majority of their colleagues, and I don't think you'd like that one bit. And here on page 21, I love this where Amanda's saying, I could convince Palmer, he could convince a man with an S on his chest, a man with a bat on his chest, a Sea King. I just love this look on Waller's face here. I want to say kind of a Tina Turner vibe, but an overweight Tina Turner. Because again, Amanda Waller's a heavy-set woman. But yeah, I love the way Amanda's drawn in here. And the president's like, this office prides itself. Good relations. The whole darn metahuman community. I can assure you, whatever has happened in the past won't. Not on my watch. And Waller's like, oh, that's just fine, because I guarantee that if I hear a whisper suggesting anything else, they will know. Whether I'm alive or dead, they will know. Just so you understand. And as Waller and Steele are walking out, they're talking. Steele's like, oh, maybe that'll do it. Wouldn't bet on the rent on it, though. And we're kind of catching up what's going on. He asks what Palmer's plan is. And she said he's going to stick around for a while. Maybe he'll find another replacement before he goes in retirement. Craig getting killed has really gotten to him. And Steele's like, it's gotten to you too, Wall. And she's like, you want to know a secret, Steele? They all do. Every day I go back and I remember the names and faces of those who've died since I started the squad. Every day I number the dead. Again, that's where the title of this issue came from, where I number the dead. That's the title is Number of the Dead. I know how they died and why. Others may die. I may die. We all know what got going in, but I never take it lightly. Never will. Never. I wish I could say that everyone we worked for felt the same. See you around still. As they depart, and we get the next issue blurb. Vive la squad. And I love this last page of the book here, where Amanda, she's saying, yes, it gets to me. They all get to me. This who's Amanda is. I mean, she will kill someone if need be, and that's one, again, as I've talked about previously, and I'm sure I'll talk about it again. It's one problem I had with the Suicide Squad movie, the first one, is that Amanda killed her support team just because they knew too much. That's not Amanda Waller. As she says here, she remembers everyone that's died under her watch. And they all, she didn't necessarily say this, but they all kind of haunt her. She remembers them. She remembers how they died. You can kind of tell that she's haunted by the deaths that happened under her while she's been running the Suicide Squad. So again, that's why I feel that was out of place. Just like in I think it was the first Suicide Squad animated movie where she killed somebody just to prove a point. That's not really Amanda Waller. Amanda Waller, she will kill someone if they mess with her, but she's not going to kill someone just to clean up the area or just to prove a point, in my opinion. And again, this panel here, or this page, kind of hits at home to me. Again, a great storyline. As I said, I love Ray Palmer. It's fantastic. I love this storyline. I love this book. And again, like I said, I just love this, the whole storyline. I love this last panel, or this last page here, because this kind of, to me, sums up who Amanda Waller is. So, again, anything that kind of pictures her as a, in quotes, villain, killing people willy-nilly just because they're in the way, that's not Amanda Waller. She's not a bad guy. She's a good person that maybe uses questionable methods for the greater good. But enough ranting about the Suicide Squad movie. This issue is going to come to an end. Let me know what you guys think. You can send me an email. You can send an email to taskforcex@headspeaks.com, and I'll read it on the air. Again, taskforcex@headspeaks.com. And there's one more thing I was going to mention. Jesus, I almost forgot. So again, I've talked about the Power of the Atom series over on Head Speaks, and then I referred people, to pay attention over to the Task Force X, as I would talk more about Ray Palmer there. In fact, maybe next issue I will, or next episode of Head Speaks, I'll make another reference for people to go back to listen to these last two episodes to find out what happened to Ray. But I was looking at dc.fandom.com, the wiki on the Power of the Atom. And on issue 18, there's synopsis for it. It tells the stats on the issue, the writer, penciler, and all that. And it's got the previous issue and the next issue. Again, the next issue after Power of the Atom 18, they refer to the Atom Special #1, which came out in 1993. So it came out like a year or two after this book. So this Wikipedia here kind of ignores. Well, I say they ignore, but looking at the synopsis for the Atom Special #1, which I may cover maybe over on Head Speaks. I'm getting ready to start Animal Man, but maybe I'll cover this Atom Volume Special 1 and the second one before I start Power of the Atom. Or I'm sorry, before I start Animal Man. But the synopsis for Shrinking from the Past, the storyline, it says, after the third Atom's death, Ray Palmer returns to Ivytown, discover Alphys Hyatt has had a bomb planted in the form of a clock in his face by a certain foe from his past. So it does make reference in here to Adam Cray. When you click on the link, it goes to Adam Cray's page, and it says, Adam Cray was the Atom, impersonating Ray Palmer. He was a member of the Suicide Squad. Talks about his first appearance with Suicide Squad number 44, and his last appearance of death was Suicide Squad 62, this very issue, February of 1992. So real quick, since we are done with Ray, or Adam Cray, just give real quick, just according to the DC Wiki here, dc.fandom.com, again, I'll give his stats real quick. His real name is Adam Cray. Main alias was Adam. Relative was Joe Cray, his father. Affiliation, formerly the Suicide Squad. And I say we're done with him. He does show back up, which I may talk about in a couple episodes. I forget now. Remember the Black Lantern Corps. Again, I think I talked about this issue 67 of Suicide Squad a couple years ago when we did the Blackest Night or whatever, the crossover for the Justice League or JLMA crossover. But we'll talk about that here in a couple months after I finish the main book. I'll cover that issue again. Anyways, the status, his alignment's good. Identity is a secret identity. Citizenship American. Marital status single. Occupation government agent. His gender is male. Blue eyes. He has red hair. See, I thought it was a brown. In comics, I have a hard time telling the difference between red and brown hair. Maybe because I'm slightly colorblind, but universe was New Earth, and the creator was John Ostrander and Luke McDonnell. Again, they talked about first appearance with Suicide Squad 44. His final appearance, death, was in Suicide Squad 63. And again, he goes into his history here, which we kind of talked about, especially with his last few issues, how he was the son of the murdered Senator Cray. First, he was widely believed to be Ray Palmer. He'd been recruited by Ray. And again, this kind of just goes over his appearances in the Suicide Squad, because this is the only book he's appeared in up until Blackest Night, which maybe we'll talk about here in a couple issues. But that's going to do it for this episode of Task Force X. Sadly, there's only a few episodes left. I was looking at what issues are left of the book. We're on issue 62. Just pulling up real quick and taking a look. We're on issue 62 of Suicide Squad, and there was only 60, well, counting the Blackest Night issue, there's 67 issues. So I figure next episode I'll do issue 63 and 64, then I'll do 65 and 66. The third episode should be episode 73. We'll look at the Blackest Night crossover briefly and the Suicide Squad issue. And if I get some time in the next month or two, I may go ahead and do a live watch, not a live watch, because again, I'm recording these, but I'll do a watch and review of the second Suicide Squad movie, if I get someone to join me, and release that maybe for episode 74. And so I may try to end this series with episode 75. I'll see what I can do to make it, push it out to 75. I like these anniversary type issues or episodes. 75 is a nice round number to me. So we'll see if we can stretch this out for a couple episodes and get it to 75. I mean, there are other Suicide Squad books that I could cover. There was one in 2001, a miniseries in 2007, and then 2011 there was the new 52 Squad, and there's a couple different series after that. But honestly, none of those really grabbed me like this series did. I like some on and off. I've got some, especially in the... Again, I'll save that for later on. We'll talk more about that, probably my last episode. So if you want to write in, feel free to send me an email to taskforcex@headspeaks.com and let me know what you think. Are you guys enjoying the show? Are you going to be sad to see it go? Or, are you even listening to this? Am I talking to myself? Let me know. Until next month, squad mates dismissed. Thank you for listening to another great episode of Task Force X. I can also be found rambling on my main headcast of Head Speaks, where I rant and rave about movies, comics, geek stuff, and whatever is bugging me.
Mate, you just out-crazied the Joker.
Well, I tried, Boomer, but... Anyways, my home on the internet is at headspeaks.com. HEADSPEAKS.com. Links to my blog, which contain follow-up information to this and every headcast, can be found there. Both Task Force X and Headspeaks are on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and at headspeaks.com under Headcasts. Please feel free to email me any questions, comments, or concerns to taskforcex@headspeaks.com. And if you want to record a message, you can send it to me at taskforcex@headspeaks.com, and I'll play it on the air. I'm also on Facebook at Task Force X, and also on Google+, you can look for Task Force X under People and Pages. All titles and characters discussed are owned and copyrighted by DC Comics. I claim no ownership to the Suicide Squad, Checkmate, or Task Force X. I'm just a big fan wanting to spread the Task Force X love with everyone else. DC DC Comics can be found on the web at dccomics.com. Be sure to visit your local comic shop and look for Suicide Squad and Checkmate Comics. And while you're there, see what else they have that may interest you.
Mother...
Well, make sure you join us here next time for another fun-filled headcast from your friendly neighborhood Brotherhead. In the meantime, I'll see you in the funny pages.